Back in episode 9, I built a permission rail for this agent meant to block any tool it shouldn't touch. I ran the happy path tests, watched everything turn green, and shipped it. Here is the question this whole episode answers. Did that safety gate ever actually check anything at all? That's exactly what happened, and I didn't find out because someone broke in. The gate never fired once the entire time it was live. And the system had been telling me so. In one small grey warning line, I kept scrolling straight past. Nothing got exploited, mostly because the model happened to behave. But a guard you never watch fire is not a guard, it's just a comforting decoration. So let's run this like a real incident: alert, trace, root cause, fix, and the regression test at the end. Welcome back. Every episode before this built something new. This one is different because this one debugs something using everything we built before. That's the traces from 11, the evals from 4, and the security work from 9. Here is the shape of any incident worth that name, and you'll reuse it. An alert tells you that something is off. A trace tells you what actually happened. From there, you find the root cause, not the symptom sitting on top. You fix the actual cause. And then comes the step almost everyone skips, a regression test, so the same failure never quietly comes back. This incident is real and it's mine, so let me walk you through exactly what happened. Let's start with the alert, because that's always where a real incident starts. And this alert did not look like an alert at all. It wasn't a page going off at some odd hour. It was quieter, and quiet is worse. Every time I ran the eval suite, the SDK printed one line of warning text. Can use tool will not be invoked for these tools. In plain English, the callback I was using as my security gate was never actually being called. The SDK told me this on every run, and I had trained myself to read it as noise. And that's the first lesson before we even trace anything. A warning you always ignore isn't really a warning. If a message isn't actionable, silence it. If it is, then it's an alert, whether you are treating it like one or not. This one was an alert wearing a warning's clothes. Now let's actually trace it, because a warning is a hint, not proof. I went back to the receipts we already had, the eval records from the injection tests. If my gate had genuinely worked, those runs should show it denying something or at least being consulted. It never was, not even once. Across every run, the number of times my permission rail actually made a decision was 0. That's not the same as allowing everything, which would at least mean it was running. It simply was not in the path. A safety control doesn't earn credit for existing, only for actually firing. This is exactly why the observability work from last episode mattered. I didn't have to guess or add print statements everywhere. The records were already there, and they said flatly the guard had never run. Expected a gate, got nothing, and it was time to find out why. So here is the root cause, and it's a good one in the sense that it looks completely correct. Inside the SDK, any tool named in your allowed tools list gets auto-approved before your callback is ever consulted. That's documented behavior, not a bug in the SDK itself. It's even sensible, since you did say those tools are allowed. But here is the problem. My security gate was built entirely out of those same tool names. So for every tool I cared about, the SDK approved it first, and my callback was never asked. My callback would only fire for tools not on that list, and those were never going to get called anyway. Put those two facts together and you get the shape of the bug. My security gate was guarding a door nobody used while standing wide open at the door everybody used. It looked right in the code and it read right in review. It just did nothing the entire time. So the fix is to move to the one mechanism in the SDK that can't be shadowed like this. A PreToolUse hook runs before every single tool call, no exceptions, whether or not that tool is on your allow list. Same logic as before, allow the read tools, deny everything else except now it's actually sitting in the real path. And the fix itself is tiny, just one line of configuration and one small function. The bug was never really about how much code there was. It was about trusting the wrong seam in the system and never once checking whether that seam was actually live. And here is the step that actually turns a fix into a closed incident, a regression test, and specifically a negative one. Not the usual test that asks, does the agent still answer tickets correctly, because that one passed fine the entire time the guard was dead. This test asks the opposite question instead. Does the guard actually block anything at all? So I feed tool names straight at the rail with no model involved anywhere in the loop. Then I just assert what comes back. The read tools come back allow exactly like they should. A shell command, a delete call, and one unknown tool all come back deny. That test now runs in the CI pipeline on every single change. If anyone ever shadows this gate again, that test goes red before anything ships. And that's the whole difference between the old setup and this one. The old gate passed every test I had because every one of my tests only checked that good requests succeeded. None of them ever checked that bad requests actually failed. A control is only real once you've actually watched it say no. So let's recap this as a method. You'll reuse it on any incident. The alert was a warning I trained myself to stop reading. So make your alerts mean something again. The trace came almost free, straight out of records we already kept. The root cause was a seam that looked correct and got silently bypassed. The fix was moving to a mechanism that can't be bypassed the same way. And the regression was a negative test, proof the guard says no when it's supposed to. Now remember the question I opened with, was the safety gate I shipped ever actually checking anything at all? The honest answer is no, not once, and I only found that out by looking. The real lesson here is bigger than this one bug. Every safety thing we've built in this series is worthless until you watched it fire. So test that your guards actually block, not just that your happy path works. Any control you have never watched fire is not a control, it's just decoration that looks like one. A silent guard is worse than no guard at all because it hands you confidence you never earned. Episode 13 is next, the last one in the series, and we look back at the whole architecture together. See you there.